Hi, good afternoon. My name is Raquel and thank you for watching today. Today is Sunday the 25th of September, and as you can see, here's Mr. Soot. He's huge. He's almost 5 months now. Another week and he'll be 5 months. And he might be popping by again later. He's a bit clingy this weekend. He doesn't have the dogs to play with, so he's seeking a lot of attention. Sorry about the lighting today. I was planning on filming this early in the morning, and then I didn't. I slept in. I went to bed late. I slept in, and I had to leave the house by 10 because I wanted to go to Ravelry today, which I'll talk about more in a little bit. And it's now almost 5:30, and I've just come home, and I've been out by the sea, so a bit windswept today. But yeah, I'll get started straight away. Technically I have 2 finished objects, but I'll talk about the second one later when I talk about what I did today. So I only have 1 finished knitting object. I had planned on having 2, but I didn't get around to it. So what I finished is my Hitofude cardigan, and I'll add in, I didn't prepare any show notes. Like I said, I've just come home and I needed to film this before I had no natural light anymore, so I'll link all the details either below or in the show notes. And by the way, I keep forgetting to, I don't mention this usually, but you can find all the show notes on my blog. I'll put the link down here below. It's also towards the end of the episode. I always put my contact information, and you can also go on to Ravelry. There's a group there, and if you click my name, it links to my profile page, and I've got a link to the blog there as well. So what I finished was the Hitofude cardigan, and I've not blocked it. I didn't block it on purpose. I finished this on Thursday, and I had planned on laying out to block on Friday, but then I thought, no, I want to show you guys how it looks like before and after. So I will be taking photos of it pre-blocking, and it's already kind of late, so I don't think I'm going to get around to blocking it today. I'll try to do this so tomorrow when I get home from work, and otherwise only towards the next week. So it looks small, but it does fit. I've tried it on and it does fit. It just needs to really be blocked quite aggressively to show the lace off a lot more. So without further ado, here is my Hitofude cardigan. And like I said, it looks tiny. Looks like it's made for like a, I don't know, 5-6-year-old, but it fits. It fits, and like I showed last week, and I'll show you the right side. I can show here the lace stretches out beautifully. So this tiny little thing can stretch out quite a bit, and it will. I'm going to definitely be stretching it in the length as well. And there's a little schematic in the pattern showing you how to block this piece. So that's what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to attempt on doing. And Soot's about to attack the cardigan. So yeah, I'm going to put this aside. Then that's it for finished objects. I'll show the other one a bit later on. Not knitting, sort of knitting related, but not really. So what I have on my so I'm going to go to works on progress. What I have on my needle is something I started on Friday. I cast on Thursday evening after I finished the Hitofude, but I didn't do much more than anything else on it. And then basically I did a huge chunk on Friday evening, and then the rest I did yesterday, because yesterday was my my day for spending the morning at Ovelha Negra, and then going to join my knit group in the afternoon at our local cafe. So here it is. This is my progress so far. This is the Broken Wings shawl by Hofi Locatelli, and I received the pattern as a gift. I received the yarn as a gift, so I thought fitting that the yarn and pattern should be joined. And I'm really liking it so far. The people who've already done this for my knitting group said that's a really super quick knit, and it really is. Once you get the hang of the lace repeat, it's fairly easy to. It's not, maybe not quite mindless, but it's almost mindless lace knitting. So I haven't anything on it today. I have 2 more charts to do, and then I'll be done. And then this will also need some aggressive blocking, which I know this yarn can stand. This is Yarn Adventures sock in their in the ink colorway, and if you can see it, there's it's a tonal, so it's and you can't really, you can't really see. There's slight differences in colors of blues, and there's little here little specks of white of undyed yarn in there. So there's pieces here that are lighter and then darker, and yeah, I really like this yarn. I have a lot of stuff made out of this yarn. I'm using 4mm Knit Pro Novas, which is what I used for the Hitafuda cardigan. So seeing as they were already on, ready to go, I just picked these up. I did not do a gauge swatch for this. Most of my shawls, if using fingering weight, especially this yarn, I'll do them on 4mm, maybe 4.5mm. Malabrigo I tend to use 4.5mm if it's lacy and I want it extra lacy. Otherwise, shawls I generally do on 4mm needles. And that's it for the knitting, guys. I really I have nothing else. I have today's 25th, so there's 5 more days left of September. So next week when I podcast, hopefully I'll have socks on the needles, maybe a half finished object or a finished object. We'll see. Definitely one sock should be off the needle, for sure. So throughout the month of October, basically all my whips or finished objects will be socks, and what I've decided is I'll grab some of my previously made hand knits, like sweaters or cardigans or hats or whatever, and show them off here. So stuff I've made before I started podcasting. Like I said, that's it for knitting objects. I'm hoping to finish knitting the shawl today, or while editing the podcast and the photos I've taken over the weekend. If not today, then tomorrow. And I'm not picking up anything new to start knitting, so I'll pick up either the crochet dragon that I have to finish, or my blanket that also still needs to be finished. But I haven't decided yet. I'll see when I finish the shawl what I feel like doing. So yeah, what did I do this morning? That I left the house at 10 o'clock and I went to Serralves. Serralves is a big park, a private park but open to the public here in Porto. Sunday mornings is usually from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's free entrance to the park and to the museum. But this weekend, because it was the autumn harvest party, it was free access to the park the whole weekend. The museum, at least this afternoon when I tried to get in, it was a paid entrance, so I didn't go. I'll go sometime soon. I haven't been to the museum for quite some time, but I had planned on going yesterday morning as well. But then I decided to just do my usual thing for the Saturday, which is go to RGO Knitorama and spend the afternoon with my knit group. And then in the evening, I joined a couple of friends at one of their houses, and we sat and carried on knitting the rest of the evening. So I got home kind of late. While at Ravelry yesterday, I walked in, Joanna was busy with some clients, and there was another lady walking around the shop, and I put down my stuff and I went over to ask if she needed any help. And lo and behold, this person was Dutch. So I started talking Dutch to her, obviously. We talked for quite a bit, and then I mentioned that I was going to go to Schouwburg today, and she's here visiting with her boyfriend, so I said, well, you guys should come if you have nothing else planned. So I was at Schouwburg early this morning. There was some communication problems, but it got sorted out in the end. So she ended up meeting me at Schouwburg around 2ish or so. I showed them around the park, the Harvest Festival, and then I took them, because I went by car today. I didn't walk. The weather's been kind of off. Well, yesterday was sunny but cloudy, and then in the evening it started raining, and this morning it was still kind of cloudy, so I didn't want to chance getting rained on again. Thankfully it held up fine. It's still cloudy, and I'm looking outside to see, but yeah, it's still cloudy, but the sun is shining and it's quite warm outside. And yeah, so it's been a really nice day today. But yeah, so she met me. I'd already been walking around Schouwburg, seen pretty much everything I wanted to see, and for next time I'll know to take some money with me, because they were selling some fresh produce, local produce, and I didn't have any cash on me, so I didn't buy anything, but I'll know to do that next year. What I did do, what I really wanted to do, and last year I got sick on the weekend of the harvest party, and so I didn't go, and the year before that I was there for a short time only, so it didn't give me enough time to do something, and that is basket weaving. They have workshops throughout the day, so they're open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. I believe, and throughout the day on Saturday and Sunday they have workshops of all sorts of workshops. And the reason I went, so 2 years ago is the first time I went to this harvest festival at Schouwburg, and the reason was because a friend of ours who has a blog called Saber Fazer, how to make stuff. I'll link all the, I'll link to all the websites and everything in the show notes. She started a project recording all the local sheep breeds we have here in Portugal, and how to process the yarn. Also, not only the sheep breeds, she has a project with Schouwburg where they grow silkworms and harvest the silk humanely, so without killing the silkworms. And I'm going to try maybe next year get my hands on some silkworms for our mulberry tree that we have on my parents' farm, so we can have silkworms. I mean, I don't need the cocoons for making silk or anything. I just like, as a kid in South Africa, we had a mulberry tree, and as I think it was school projects or something, and we always had silkworms, and so we could learn how they went from caterpillar to the cocoon and then the butterfly or whatever. So yeah, so maybe I'll ask her next year if I can get some silkworms for the mulberry tree and see them grow and everything, or at least I'll have mulberry leaves to give the silkworms. Anyway, besides totally off topic here. So yeah, what I wanted to do was the basket weaving. I walked around the whole place first. I didn't go to the biological market. I only went to that at the very end. But I walked around all the workshops, took some photos, and I'll insert them here at the end, so you guys can see some of the things I saw today. The Schouwburg is also a working farm, I want to say. They have animals, they have the sheep, they have cows, they have donkeys, they have horses. They have vegetable gardens which are tended by school children. So schools come there with groups of children and they tend the gardens, and children get to keep the produce that they produce. I had a similar experience in Holland when I lived there. Our school also did that. We had our own little vegetable garden, and it was usually two to a garden. And I'm sorry, but that was attacking a feather flying by the window. He just attacked the window. So, so he's interested in this feather that's floating around outside the window. So yeah, so as a kid I had that as well, and I didn't know that the vegetable garden at Schouws was taken care of by children, which I only found out today. So it's a great initiative. I think every school should do this, for children to know where vegetables and fruit come from, because there's a lot of children that don't. It's like, oh, an apple. Okay, you go to the supermarket and it's there. They don't know where it comes from, or the process it goes from being a seed to a little seedling to a tree, and then producing apples and all that. So after walking around the whole place, looking at all the workshops available, they were doing how to dye yarn and all that. So at my main goal for going was to go to the Severe Fazer stand, so to speak, and they have several things on the go. And this year was interesting because Alice, the one behind Severe Fazer, she had already collected all the. She's collecting fleece from every breed of sheep in Portugal, and what she's done is she's created like information boards, attached the fleece to this information board, and shows you pictures of the sheep and a little bit about the breed, and that way, having all those fleeces next to one another, you can actually see the difference in fleece. And what's really nice, and like I'll insert a couple of pictures I took. She has a map of Portugal, and it has like little dots of where these sheep breeds can be found. Now I have a whole bunch of fleece at my parents' place, which some of it still needs to be washed and processed. And I'm gonna see if the ones that I've washed I can maybe bring home and start carding them and start spinning them up. That's one of my goals for this winter, is to start spinning a bit more, spin up some of the fleece and the fiber I have to spin, so I can start knitting with it. And then next year I'm going to have to wash the rest of the fleece, because I don't want it to go to waste. Because most of the farmers here burn the fleeces, and they have no use for it, and it sells they can't get a good price for the fleeces. Also because the sheep here aren't bred for the fleece; they're bred for their meat. So the fleece is quite rustic. But so yeah, she had like the several information boards with the various fleeces. Then she had a whole table spread out with a complete fleece, so people could touch it. And then sorry. Then she had the various processes of pre-washed fleece, washed fleece, carded fleece, combed fleece, and then spun fleece, spun on the spinning wheel or on the drop spindle. And she had people there to teach everyone, kids, grown-ups, whoever was interested in learning. People showing you how to use the drop spindle. People showing you how to make, how to use the spinning wheel, and then there was a section showing you how to dye yarn with natural fibers. They were dyeing yarn, I believe, with onion skins. And there was another workshop in another location which showed you plants, and I took some photos there as well, I believe, which plants you can use to naturally dye your yarn with, or your fleece. However you want to dye, pre-spinning or after spinning. Now I've personally dyed with plants before. I experimented with it sometime a couple of years ago, and I really should do some more, because I really like the experience. At my parents' place, they have a whole bunch of wild mint growing, so I use that. and I don't have any of it here to show you, but if I remember I'll bring it out next week. And I also dyed with stinging nettles. Of course, I used gloves because I did not want to be stung by those nettles. And with the flowers, they have lovely purple flowers, so I used the whole plant. I didn't use just leaves, I used the whole plant. That gave me a really nice olivey color dye. Then I've used eucalyptus leaves, like the new leaves, and also the older leaves, which are browner, and that gave me like a yellowish color. That's how it came out. But like I said, I'm gonna have to try this again, maybe this autumn. I don't know. We'll see when I have time and if I want to go out and collect, because you have to collect a certain amount to be able to dye a certain amount of yarn. And last time I did that, I didn't really weigh the amounts of natural of plants that I had with compared to the yarn. But a friend of mine gave me a book a couple of years ago as a birthday present on how to dye yarn with natural plants or with natural products, and so I'm going to start reading up on that and see if I can maybe venture into that as well and try out on the fleece that I have to spin up. So other than the yarn dyeing, so the fleeces, the yarn dyeing, and then they had weaving. So they had several different types of looms where people could try weaving pieces. And then there was the basket weaving, which is what I was interested in because I hadn't gotten a chance to do so the first year I went, and then last year I was sick, and this year I was like, no, I am going to definitely do this basket weaving. But as I got there, the two people who do this, and I'm going to have to go on to the blog of Severe Fazir to find out what their I know the names of the people, I just don't know what the name of the company is. But it's on the Severe Fazir blog, and I'll check it out and I'll link it all. As I was standing there watching, I saw there was like a whole bunch of just little kids doing the basket weaving, so I thought maybe this year it was only focused on children learning how to do this work. But then I asked one of the girls who was there, who's the daughter of the people who were giving the workshop, and she said, no, anyone can anyone can do this. It's not only for children. Just so happened that at the time I arrived there was a whole bunch of children doing this, so I wasn't, I was like, okay, well then I'm interested. So the next time that a spot opened up, I was able to join, and it's a husband and wife team, and like I said, with their daughters. Their daughters do know how to do the basket weaving, but I believe they don't, they're still studying, so I don't believe that they're part of the business. They help out at fairs like this, but the parents, so the husband and wife team, they do this professionally. They make baskets, which get sold all over the place. And I was taught by the lady, Donna Rosa. She basically said, because she was doing the prep work for the children, and she's like, well, no, I'm going to put you to work and you're going to do basically the whole basket by yourself. There's only 2 things she did for me because it's more complicated, and she's faster at it, and because she was helping out the kids, I let her help the kids, and because the kids are more, they get focused on the thing for they have a shorter attention span, put it that way. And so I was letting a whole bunch of kids go in front of me, and she was like helping them out, and I sat there around waiting. I think I sat there for 2 hours trying to complete this basket. But, it was okay. I enjoyed the experience. My idea was to learn how to do this basket weaving, and I now know how to do it. That's not to say that I will probably do this. I mean, I would love to do this again, but if I don't have the proper tools or the proper, because what I'm using is not wood. It's a specific type of product that they use, and it's not that readily available. Now, what I might try is get my hands on some vines when they do the harvest, or when they're harvesting the grapes, and it's not when they're harvesting. When they're cleaning up the vines and everything, they cut off a whole bunch of shoots, and I think maybe I could use those shoots for basket weaving, because they're pretty malleable. The saplings kind of thing, they're pretty malleable, and if I just keep them wet, like the lady was explaining how to do this, then maybe I could give it a try. So basically everyone was doing round baskets, and because I sat with Donna Hase, and she was doing focus more on the small children, so they were making smaller baskets. And when I sat down and said I wanted to learn how to make a basket, she's like, well, no, you're not going to make the small basket, I'm going to give you a nice big basket to make. And she gave me an oval basket to make. And oval baskets are harder, because you have to constantly pay attention to where you're putting your, so that the basket keeps its oval shape. But I managed to do so, so I'm going to show you my basket, and here it is. It's all. The only thing I didn't do is let's see this part over here. She did that for me. I don't know if you can hear it. So he's eating his fruit right now. And this top section over here. Also, you know, the lady's been there the whole morning, and it was like roughly 1:30 when I was finishing off the basket, and she hadn't had any breaks, and she really, you know, needed a break and wanted to go have lunch. So she finished off the top section for me, as it was a lot faster than me sitting there and then trying to figure out how to do it. So, but I did see how it was done. Hopefully I can remember how it's done. And if anything, I have this one to look at and to see. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm really pleased with my basket. The moment I put it on the table here, Mr. Soot tried to lie down in it, but he's too big for this. He doesn't fit in there. Maybe on the day I'd gotten him home, if I had had this basket, he could totally fit in here. So what I'm going to do is pick out some fabric and line this with some fabric, and then use this for notions and stuff. I won't leave it out on the table because I already saw that Soot was really interesting chewing on this, and I know that Dakota, if she gets her hands if she gets this, then she's most likely to chew this as well. As her, she has a big basket that my dad got for me when she was a puppy, made out of this kind of stuff, and she chewed it, a whole section of it. So my mom had to line it with foam, and I now have it lined with denim cover, so that, you know, she can't get to the wicker part. So I'm gonna line this with some fabric, and then put it in my cupboard, and, you know, use it to put little bits and pieces in there, knitting or sewing related, I don't know. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm going to add in some photos of basically what I did today. I don't think I have any photos from yesterday. No, I'll just add in some. Well, I do have some photos from already, so maybe I'll add in some of those. And yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna quickly edit this and go eat, because I only had a little bit of a snack that I took with me, and I'm kind of hungry right now. So I'm gonna go eat an early dinner, and then sit down to do some knitting and watch some TV maybe, or catch up on some podcasts, and yeah, hopefully next week I'll have some more to show you guys, knitting wise anyway. Well, I'll definitely have the shawl finished. Hopefully I'll have the Hitafude blocked for you guys, or blocked, and I can start wearing it. I did say the weather was kind of funky. We've had really warm days still, and then temperature's been dropping to, it does get chillier at night. Temperatures today we're roughly around 23, 24 degrees, not too bad. We had some rainy days, like I said yesterday, around 8 o'clock it started raining, and I was like really hoping it wouldn't rain. It just rained throughout the night. This morning when I got up, most of the street was dry already, so it wasn't, it wasn't even like a strong rain. It was like drizzle kind of rain, but enough to get wet anyway. So I'm gonna now go play with Soot because he's been alone most of the weekend and he's not liking it at all. He wanted someone to play with yesterday morning, and seeing as the dogs weren't around, he decided my hand would do just as well. So I have some scratches on my hand and on my arm because he decided to attack my hand, which is fine. No. He has toys to play with, but I guess my hand tastes better. So I'm going to go play with him, put the basket out of his reach so that he cannot get to it, and yeah, see you next week. Bye.